Today, I want to talk about something that I talk about quite often. And if you've ever closed your laptop at midnight and thought, how in the world did I work all day and I still feel so behind? Because same. And today, I want to tell you about the moment I realized I didn't have a time problem or even a capacity problem. I had a visibility problem. So I want to share with you a story. Several years ago, it was probably 2019, 2020. I was drowning in work and I'd been drowning in work for about 6 years before that. I could not figure out how to stop drowning. I had sticky notes everywhere, the tasks were in my email. I had things half done, half weren't done. I would say I was going to do something and then I would forget about it. And then one day I was like, where are all of our tasks? Why am I not figuring this out? Why am I not seeing what I'm doing all day long? Because I had notebooks, I had post-it notes, I had Excel sheets, I had Google Doc or Word Doc, I had all kinds of places. I had Trello. I had so many things and they weren't all combined. Then I looked at my team and I'm like, okay, what do they do all day? So then I started looking where they had all of their tasks. They had them on calendars hanging on the wall. They had them on post-it notes on their desk. They had them in notebooks. They had them in the same places, but everything was siloed by itself. And then I ask, why can't I delegate? Why are they always asking me, what do you need to do today? And that's when I realized something. None of this stuff was assigned. It wasn't documented. And a lot of it actually wasn't even billable because a lot of time we were only halfway through it. And that was the day I realized I wasn't just working long hours. I was working long hours on things nobody even knew existed because it was all here. It was all in my head. That's when everything lived in my head. And the craziest part, if you had asked me what was on my team's plate that week or even on my own plate, I couldn't have told you. I had no idea. And it wasn't because I wasn't committed, it was because I had no visibility into anything. And that's when I understood. I didn't have a capacity issue. I didn't have a time issue. I didn't have a lazy issue. I didn't have a team issue. I had a visibility issue. Because you see, my team kept asking me, hey, how can I help you? But I couldn't answer them because I didn't know what I needed help with. And so, my point of sharing this story with you is when everything lives in our head, in our notebook, in our email, in your text messages, you will always feel behind. I actually talked to somebody today about this exact same thing because most business owners think they need more time, more clients, more team, more automation. But what they actually need is visibility. What's on your plate? What's on your team's plate? What actually needs your role? What role isn't being filled? That was the conversation we had today. What role did they actually need? And when I asked more questions around this, like, what role do you need? She thought it was one thing, but after we kept talking, she's like, oh, maybe that's not the role. Because without visibility, you stay reactive. You work harder than anyone, but then you also feel guilt, frustration, resentful. And then you convince yourself that you're the problem. I see this every single day with the clients we work with and with so many other business owners, so many accountants. They think they've convinced themselves that they're the problem, but it's just not true. The real problem is the lack of structure that is actually giving you giving you visibility. You can't see what's on your plate, you can't see what's on your team's plate, and if you're by yourself, you can't see when you need to bring somebody else on. So I want to share with you a framework that helped me, and I'm going to call it the visibility triangle because there's three sides. And even if one is missing, you're going to stay overwhelmed. So you have side one, know what's on your plate. This is the CEO level clarity, not the 900 tasks that show up each week, the small list of things that only you can do and should be doing. Without this side, you drown in task instead of leading. And I know many of you love staying behind the scenes, but you started a business for a reason and it wasn't for a job. So that's what I want you to get clear. You have to start thinking differently like a CEO, because a CEO needs to lead. They need to steer the ship. They need to know where you're going. And then side two over here is what's on your team's plate. Because most owners have no idea who is over capacity, who has space, who is silently drowning, who is doing work nobody sees, and that includes you, who is waiting on answers. And if you don't know this, you'll end up doing it all yourself because that feels easy. Not because you want to, but because you can't see what's possible to delegate. And that's where I was. I couldn't see what I needed to delegate because I was so busy drowning myself. But then when I pulled back and I started looking at these sides, what do I need to be doing? What does the team need to be doing? It Things started to shift. And then side three, know what actually needs your attention. This is the game changer because not everything needs you, even though you feel like it. That's not true. I'm going to say this again. Not everything needs you, even if it feels like it. When visibility is missing, everything feels urgent. Everything feels like it's on fire. Everything feels hard. But when visibility is present, urgency disappears because the chaos is actually gone. So if you take these three sides and you make that triangle, this is what happens. This is how they work together. You stop taking on tasks in your head. You stop rescuing your team. You stop rescuing your clients. You stop doing the work. Stop doing work even when you're not getting paid for it. I can't tell you how many dollars we have found of work we were doing that we weren't getting paid for because there was no visibility. And I talk to accountants every single day that are doing the exact same thing. And then you also start feeling like you're in control a little bit. Because right now, a lot of you feel like you're in complete chaos, even though we're in December and tax season is around the corner, you still feel like you're in chaos. And you start feeling like a CEO when you have all three of these pieces together. Visibility is the cure to overwhelm. It is. And so, even on days that I feel like I'm being overwhelmed, I can go look at my system and I'm like, okay, I look at my side of the triangle. What is it that I need to focus on? My side. My team is focused on their side. You see how this works? So here's what I want you to do today. If this hits you, if you're realizing you don't need more time, you need more visibility, drop the word clear in the comments and let's chat and see how we can get you more clear. We can have a conversation in the DMs. If you don't want to drop it in the comments, just DM me and let's talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and let's get clear. Because that's how you get a task management system that acts like a team member, not an actual to-do list. Because our task management system is worth its weight in gold. And if you ask my team, they will tell you the same thing. If it is not in ClickUp, it doesn't happen. But that's because they're doing their side of that triangle. And I'm doing my side of the triangle. And so we make that square because then we look at that bottom piece. And a lot of times we look at that bottom piece together. So if this was helpful for you, please drop it in the comments because I want to do more trainings like this, but I just need somebody to tell me, hey, this is helpful. Keep doing them. And if you need more clarity, if you're not sure, then comment, drop clear below and let's chat. So I hope to see you soon. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And I hope this training was helpful. And I will see you later.